This exercise is your abdominal half curl-ups with a straight leg raise. Because it involves spinal flexion, it's definitely unsuitable for osteoporosis, but also urge caution with certain back problems, particularly disc-related back problems. For those people, you can leave the head on the floor and just lift the legs as an alternative variation. So really essentially working those core abdominals. So you're going to be lying supine with 2 straight legs. Flex the feet, pushing energy out through the heels. Engage the adductors and glutes and pull up those kneecaps to engage the quads. From here, interlace the fingers behind the middle of the skull with the elbows forward in your peripheral vision. You're going to breathe in through the nose, gently blow out through the mouth, engage your pelvic floor openings and zip, scoop and hollow that belly button back to the spine, engaging the core. And as you exhale, continue lifting the head, shoulders, shoulder blades, and simultaneously lift one leg a few inches off the floor. Now, as you lift this leg off the floor, you've just got to watch that the hip bone doesn't rotate to one side. So you've really got to press this opposite hip down using your obliques to keep the spirit level between right and left hip bone even. So I breathe in again. Exhale, zip up the core, blow out through the mouth, and as you curl your head, gently lift one leg. Now, the closer this heel stays to the floor, the harder it is on the core. The more the leg comes in, the easier it is to keep that lower back in that neutral position. So remember, when your leg is a few inches off, you don't want your back to be arching off the floor. So really connect with that core to prevent any lumbar extension and also to prevent any pelvic rotation. So really zip and hollow in that core. Again, breathing in to prepare. Blowing out, engaging pelvic floor, belly button. Curling up at the same time as that leg lifts. Keeping the hip opposite hip down. Keeping that kneecap pulled up. And then slowly, without arching the back, gently lower back down. For those who may have a disc issue or osteoporosis, you can do this without the curl up. So again, you've still got the weight of the leg pulling the pelvis to one side and also making the back arch. So really using the core to keep the opposite hip down and to keep that spine in neutral to prevent that extension of the lumbar spine. You will also feel this in the quad, maybe the hip flexor, and a little bit on that inner groin as well. Okay, so Jasmine, if you just want to lie down on your back. And I'm going to clasp the hands like this and interlace them behind the middle of the skull so that the elbows are just in front of the ears, just to take the weight of the head. So the legs are in a parallel position, adducted together, energy out through the feet, so pushing out through those heels, pulling up those quads, engaging the adductors and those glutes. So we zip up that tight pair of jeans, we breathe in to prepare. As you exhale, engage pelvic floor, belly button, slowly curl head, shoulders, and one leg off the floor. And consciously, as the right leg lifts, press that left hip and left butt cheek down into the mat to prevent the weight of that right leg pulling the pelvis across to the right. What you also might feel is a connection through this left heel. The left heel kind of wants to press down into the floor to add a little bit of stability. And the more you press, the more stable you'll be. But ideally, you want the stability to come from here, so don't rely on that foot too much unless you need to, because you want to rely more on pressing that hip down. You see, Jasmine's got a little bit of a shake on there. That's lovely. And then gently coming back down again. Beautiful. So you don't have to lift high. Remember, the higher the leg, the easier it is, because the higher the leg goes, the more it's going to press your lower back down. And the closer the leg is to the floor, the more your leg weighs, and therefore the bigger the resistance, the longer the lever, and it's going to make your back arch. So you really got to use that core to prevent that lumbar extension occurring. Now, if you want to make this a little bit easier, instead of lifting the weight of a straight leg or a long lever, we can shorten the lever. So as Jasmine lifts up this time, I'm going to lift this leg, we're just going to bend the knee as she comes up. So breathing in, exhale, pelvic floor, belly button, curl up, head, shoulders, and bend the knee. And either the heel can stay on the floor like this, or it can come up in the air. And just making sure my hand under that pelvis and lumbar spine there, that there's no arching, there's no rotation, both hip bones are level. And then slowly coming down. Now really be mindful how this leg drops down so we don't lose any core connection, we don't start rolling to one side. Let's do that with the other side, breathing in to prepare. Exhale, engaging pelvic floor, belly button, slide those shoulders down, curling up, pressing this opposite hip down. Lovely, and keeping everything nice and long. And again, the Jasmine's got a little shake on. Remember, the higher she lifts, the harder it's going to be. But we still want to keep that same relationship so the elbows don't come in and the chin doesn't come down. So keeping that little right pitch between chin and chest. And again, really mindful, don't just think, oh, the work's over, so I'm just going to put the leg down any old how. Really stabilizing that pelvis, using that core until that leg is right back in that starting position.